Hi, Pete Hoekstra, the 57-year-old Republican from Holland. He's represented Michigan's 2nd Congressional District since 1993. In the U.S. House of Representatives, he holds a bachelor's degree from Hope College, an MBA from the University of Michigan, and before serving in Congress, he worked as the vice president of marketing for Zeeland-based Herman Miller, the furniture manufacturer. And since 2004, he's served on the Intelligence Committee, working to defend the country against terrorism. He is a candidate for governor, by all accounts, the front runner across the state of Michigan, and he's with us here in studio. Good morning. Nice to see you.
Hey, thank you. Good to be here.
It's been a busy spring, a busy summer for you. Have you been on the bicycle at all?
Oh yeah, we've gotten our 500 miles in. We're pledging to get 1,000 in by general election day. We've got 500 in, and we'll probably get a few more in before the primary and get the bulk of them done in August.
You're going to be talking with small business people for the rest of the time that we're together on this occasion, and part of your campaign strategy was to go out and actually do, 100 different jobs?
That's right. We're at, I think we've got 53, 54 done.
And so you have firsthand experience not only in your own business career, but now in a total rainbow of different jobs.
We've gone out. We've run a tree harvester. Grab a tree, cut it off, and last week I was a cashier in a Chaldean grocery store for an hour and a half. We've done a lot of different jobs. But most importantly, you get to see people in their environment. They open up their dreams, aspirations, the problems that they have in doing their business and those types of things. So it's been very good.
Did President Obama take a shot at you recently? That's what they're saying on Fox News, that he came into Michigan and took a shot at you.
Well, they're not only saying that on Fox News, they're saying that on CNN, they're saying that on CBS. I think everybody basically believes that the president took a shot at me last week, Thursday, when he came into town, my hometown of Holland, and was there for a groundbreaking. We were both guests of LG Chem, which is the new battery plant. It wasn't his event. It wasn't my event. We were invited by LG Chem to be there, and he took that opportunity to, what most people believe, to take a shot at the local congressman.
What did he say?
Well, he said, there's them paraphrasing very quickly. He said, there are those that have, tried to obstruct all of my great economic policies, but they don't have any problem coming to ribbon cuttings. And of course, as you look around the audience, there's 400 of us there, and there's only one of us that could have been potentially obstructing his policies in Washington, and that happened to be me. And I think everybody clearly perceived that as a direct shot at the congressman. I was 10 feet from him. There was no one closer to him than me when he said that.
How did you react?
I sat there, and for about 15 seconds, I was trying to process, okay, what am I going to do here? This is the President of the United States. From my perspective, a totally classless act. All right, you don't do this. We would never have done this in my career at Herman Miller, or, and never seen this happen in politics. George Bush wouldn't have done this. Bill Clinton wouldn't have done this. Ronald Reagan wouldn't have done this. So I thought about, I'm just going to get up and leave. And it's kind of like, no, Pete, don't do that. Just sit, keep staring forward, keep looking very attentive, hang on every word the president says, because there's 399 pairs of eyes that are glued at the back of your head, just wondering what you're going to do and how you're going to respond, and just don't do anything. Just sit here, and you're the guest of LG Chem, and stay and just go through the program. That's it.
Civility in politics, a measured response.
A very measured. I can't tell you how measured it was. If if you go find the chair that I was sitting on, you might see the fingernails and the imprints of my fingers on the chair, saying, okay, Pete, just stay here. Have a measure. Yeah, but no, that was right, and I think in the end that proved to be the right thing to do. This was LG Chem's event. This was an event where we're hopefully going to celebrate, that in 4 or 5 years this place may have 400, 500, 600 employees. It was for the community. It wasn't about the president. It wasn't about me. It was about the jobs that are going to come into this community, hopefully because of this investment.
Well, you've had some, you've been through these debates against your other 4 opponents for the Republican nomination. You probably had similar moments where it was tough to stay above the fray.
I have, and they've thrown. Some of my opponents have thrown $1 million, up to $1 million, either with their organizations or loosely affiliated organizations at me in negative ads. And we have stayed above the fray. We've done everything positive, and it's been a positive result. I think people in Michigan are saying we're sick and tired of this. I think people across America are saying we're sick and tired of these politics. Let's have some civility in politics. We're all suffering. We need results. We need leadership. One of the traits of leadership is civility. And so it's actually worked out very, very well, and I think it's surprised a lot of people. Historically, people say, and analysts will say, people hate negative ads, but they work. What we're seeing maybe in this election, people are saying, we hate negative ads, and it ain't going to work, and we're not going to let it influence our vote, except that we just may not vote for the person who's doing the negative ads.
One of the things that seems to be more and more important these days is that our governor have a voice in Washington, D.C. You've been in Washington, how many, 17, 16?
17, yeah, 17 years. Not that anybody's counting, but yeah.
But you know your way around there.
Sure.
And you know the people, even the president to that degree. You have had an austere time in Washington, D.C., very famous for sleeping on your office couch as opposed to spending money on a snazzy condo in Georgetown or something like that. So,
yeah. I'm frugal, yeah.
Frugal and with a voice in Washington, that's an important part of what you bring to the mix, isn't it?
Well, I think so. I think that, when you've got a state budget that 40% of the money is a direct inflow and a transfer, originally from the state to Washington, but then back, it helps to have an understanding of how Washington works, how road funding works, how education, how job training, how unemployment, how all of these things work. We'd like to have a lot more freedom here at the state level. But until we get that, understanding the ways of Washington, having the relationships across the agencies or with the people in authority in Washington, I think is a benefit.
Frank Luntz, the very respected pollster on Fox News, says if you want to send a message to Barack Obama in Michigan, you've got to vote for Pete Hoekstra.
I agree with Frank Luntz, and you are absolutely right. Frank is a brilliant pollster, and I thought that was another expert analysis. But I think what Frank is saying that, he looked at it and he's looked at the polls and all of these kinds of things, and he said, hey, Hoekstra is the leading candidate for governor. He's probably the person that the Democrats most fear in this election, and so let's go. And I think they chose poorly. They chose to come in and attack me. And I think that has rallied Republicans. And what Luntz is saying, the president doesn't want Hoekstra to be the nominee, so Republicans in Michigan ought to make sure that Hoekstra is the nominee. If the president wanted to make sure that I was not the nominee, he could have called me to the stage, put his arm around me, and said,
this is my man.
This is my man. I know that there are things that Pete and I disagree on, but when it gets to be the really, really tough issues, Pete is someone that I can count on. Now that would not have made it on my website. All right.
Yeah. Well,
I thought,
what would your response have been?
Well, I would have gone up, but that is something that Bill Clinton would have done.
Right.
Bill Clinton would have called you up and maybe called you up, or at least acknowledged your president and said some really nice things about you, and that would have been very effective for the president. But they chose a different way. It's a different White House and a different style.
Congress.